Welcome to my apiary. While I'm milling, I've cut the size, the center shims on my for my 2-way and my 3-way pallets, and I'm doing the rabbets on the end of these. So what's going to happen here is this rabbet sits in the center of the pallet, and then the clip sits in there. And I really, depth-wise, I do 3/16, and why that is then the screw head. I use a panhead screw. I believe that a panhead screw is, more correct here than a flathead screw, and so I don't want the panhead screw to stick up kind of above that because the box is going to sit right here. The boxes are soft enough that if that screw sticks up a little, it'll be fine, and it's not going to stick up enough that the bees can even get through. But that's just what I've decided. I make those 3/16 deep, and those are 2 inches, 2 inches square, 2 inches wide, 2 inches both directions. So again, the 2-way pallet shims are shorter than the 3-way. The 3-way pallet shim is about 20 inches, 20 and an eighth, and the 2-way is 18. So we're 2 inches shorter. And you'll see later on how this goes together and why. But these 2-way pallet shims get a rabbit on each end, so an open-ended rabbit on each end. The 3-way pallet shim gets an open-ended rabbit on one end, and then it gets a dado on the other, because that clip will sit not at the end, it'll sit in here. So what'll happen is it'll actually be the same dimension as far as the clip goes, so if you put these two together, then the clip will sit here, so that dado is going to go right in there. So I need to do double end for the 2-way pallet shims and single end for the 3-way pallet shims, and then I need to reset the saw and the fence and then do that dado that's midway in that one. I've got 100 of the 2-way pallets, so that's 200 rabbits, and I've got 160 because there's 2 center shims on a 3-way pallet, so we've got 160. I'm making 80. I think I'm making 80 of these pallets, so I have 160 of these. So I do another 160 rabbits, and then I do another 160 dados in the other end. So it's a lot of going through the saw for sure. But I've done all of the rabbits here on the 3-ways, and I've done half of the 2-ways both ends. So I have 50 more of these to do on the 2-ways, and so I'm making good progress. And it's hard on the body. I've got a soft pad to stand on here, but it's essentially doing this over and over, kind of thing. And it really takes a toll on me. As mentioned, some of these are a little scrappy. I'm building some pallets for myself, so I'll put the worst parts on my own pallets. This is one of those parts, I talk about this a lot. There's one of those parts that can put up with some nastiness in the wood, because it's going to sit there on the plywood on the pallet. It's going to get glued down 100% of the surface, even the ends. I glue that, and it's also going to have big staples in the middle as well. So there's no tension on this piece of wood, this way or this way kind of thing. It's just using up space and something to hold that clip up, and something for the box to sit on and give you a 3/4 inch bottom board drop. But I still like to use the nicer material, so I always choose the best for the customer and leave the culls for myself. And so this is what I'm doing. I've got my dado blade in here. I only have the blades. I have no chippers and no spacers. The width of that blade is immaterial. I can do this with a standard rip blade. However, the dado blade actually makes a nice square corner in that dado rabbit. I'm cutting a rabbit. I always get confused. I know the difference, but I always get confused which one to use. So this is set not very high. It's set 3/16, so it's barely protruding above the table. And as you can see, most of the wood chips come out here instead of going down the hole. That's partly because this throat plate has been cut so big. And so I'm just gonna, what I do is I'll just cut the shoulder across and then bring the workpiece back. And I do what's called a speed tenon. And I just move the workpiece back and forth here to cut on the side of the blade. It's a kind of a fast way to do things. But one of the main reasons I do it is because it actually ends up being a much nicer finish on here than running a dado blade straight across. My dado blade's not very accurate, so I always get some irregularities there. As far as which way I want the material up, this I'll put up because it's worse than this. And when I run these through, the bottom becomes the top, right? So that's just kind of what I'm doing here. And these are both the same front and back, and I can orient them front and back if I feel I need to at that point when I assemble. Okay, I'm going to turn the machines on and I'll show you what I'm doing here. Okay, so what I need to do is I need to move the fence over. So what I'm trying to do here, this is an 18-inch piece. This is a 20-inch piece. And what I'm trying to do here is leave this alone here and rabbet my 2-inch there. So I need to be able to work between the fence and my stop. Should be, that's not quite enough. That should be, so that's where the fence goes. And then this fence goes 2 inches from here. That should be right. So now it'll go 2 inches back and forth right here. Let's cut one and we'll see what happens. Okay, I think that's what I want. It's a bit wide. It's too wide by the width of the dado blade there. So this is too much here. So that has to come back about that much, I think. That's not going to spoil the piece, it's just not what I'm going for. We'll cut cut another one. I have to remember to get that down. I need to flip them down. This, I'm sliding this back. It's really the only practical thing I can do. It's okay, just don't move the workpiece side to side. In there somewhere. Okay, that's, boy, that's ideal. That is just right. Okay. Should be able to do both, except I can't back it up. Flip this up and just kind of eyeball it. I just needed a couple spares. Well, I've got a couple spares now. Appreciate you watching, and hopefully that kind of soothed your need for woodworking a little bit. It's not very interesting stuff. Maybe the assembly part you'll find a little more interesting, but you know, just the running wood through the saw like that, not very interesting. I'll show you the pile I have here. So that's the stack of parts minus the plywood. It takes up a lot more space. So let's see if I can remember. This is 100 two-way pallets, 60 three-way pallets, 30 6-frame migratory covers, and 200 10-frame migratory covers. Should be all of the parts less the plywood here for that build. So I guess I got a lot of work to do, don't I? This is going to take me a long time. This is going to take me a month to get this together, and I still have to cut a little bit of plywood to do that. So yeah, thanks for watching. Take care and have fun.